Man, I'd have a lot of bent in half patience then. My little kids break everything. The first week I was in practice, I had a permanent marker all over my new computer screen and the walls. The computer screen, the walls, and like literally, I swear I looked down for like 2 seconds, and they had managed to like just tear apart my whole room, and I was like, but I learned that alcohol, like, Germex and stuff, wipes it straight off, right through there. Yeah. But it was my first, like, I was like, is this normal in practice? Like, first week of practice in the new office. And we're on 902.8. Are you starting us off? It's about that time.
It might be. They're supposed to be. The coaches are supposed to be showing up, but maybe they forgot. We didn't remind them, so.
This one right here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, maybe. Maybe.
You want some of the prenatals too? Did you want some of the prenatals too?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay. Well, not to take today, but. So I want to welcome everybody. We want to welcome everybody today. We're going to talk about kids, and I'm not sure if any time that we need to understand kids better than this post-pandemic, and I say post with optimism, that we can start to get kids back to normal lifestyles as much as possible. So we're looking forward to it. This is one that I hope you all of you that watch it forward it on. I don't know if there's more of a crisis that we need to be concerned about, and I think the crisis is kind of like an iceberg with children right now. We're just on the tip of the iceberg. What we see happen from COVID and what we see with brain developments and the research out there, it's truly scary. So tonight, Dr. Lexy is going to lead off. She's going to talk about kids 0 to 5 and some of the nutritional development things. Dr. Lexy, amazing as far as helping people start pre-birth and putting birthing plans together, taking your health plans together. Dr. Aaron's going to talk about 5 and over, 5 to 18, and kids and nutrition and the things that we need to know to get a healthy start. Dr. Matt's going to talk about kids and movement and why it's so important to move. We have one, maybe two mystery speakers, so they'll be in between. And then I'll talk a little bit of the close and some of the emotional things that we're seeing the research talking about and things we need to be concerned about. So on that, Dr. Lexy.
All right, guys. So hi, I'm Dr. Lexy. I'm going to be talking to you about your kids and their healthy spends. So we're going to be covering, I'll be covering from birth to 5 years old, so kind of that beginning phase of life, and probably one of the most important too. So a little bit about the anatomy. So I always like to review this a little bit. The chiropractor in me has to do it. So this is your spine, beautiful right here. You have bones that cover your outside of your spine, and inside that spine we house our nervous system. And this is one of our most important things because it controls everything we do, everything we see, everything we hear, everything we smell. So that's what we like to work with in the chiropractic clinic. Coming out of here are these nerves, and that's what actually feed the pathway to your brain. So nerves come out, they go to your fingers, they go to all parts of our body, and it actually helps travel up. So if I poke you, so if I go in the audience, I go boom, poke you. You feel it because your brain tells you, and the pathway actually goes up to your brain and back down to tell you if you're going to either poke me back or you might be angry or run away. So that's what we're going to talk about first. And it all starts forming within the womb. So as we are born, one, nutrition is huge. So Dr. Aaron's going to hit more on the nutrition before conception and then also throughout life. But why do curves matter? So as we talk about the spine and how it's formed, We reviewed this in 2 talks ago, so if you do want to get more in depth with it, definitely take a look at it. But we're looking at our babies. So this is the first picture. When baby comes out, baby is pulled sometimes with, I think it's 60 to 80 pounds of force on the head. So sometimes we do get subluxations there, but they're born in a C like this. So if we look right there, baby has no curves. And eventually we want them to look like this. So as baby starts to develop, crawling, walking, we get more curves in our spine. These curves help, one, with that thing that we call the nervous system, so helping with the flow of our nerves, and then also, too, with a little bit of our structural foundations. These kids are doing these motions, so when a baby turns and looks up or goes on tummy time, because they're forming their cervical curve right here. And as they form that cervical curve, that's where we're going to get that foundational movement and brain development as well. 3 to 4 months is when you start seeing baby lift up their head, and we'll go through a couple exercises that you can do on that. And then 8 to 9 months, we'll actually see where the kyphosis right here starts forming. And also, too, a lot of times we'll start seeing babies crawl or move. When they start crawling, that's when that lumbar lordosis happens. But that also is a big, hi, that's also a big, welcome to the party. That's also a big point. And when we start seeing that neurodevelopment too, where our frontal cortex forms even more as they start doing the cross patterning. So crawling is a really big thing, and a lot of parents try to get our kids to stand up, move as fast as we can, but we form for a reason. We're meant to develop the way we are because crawling is slowly making that brain work how it's supposed to. So right here, here's some fun little things. There is a ton of sensory work that you actually can do. So I see a lot of parents who are like, my kid just hates laying on their belly. Like, they get so fussy, they just can't do it. Like, we can't even last 5 minutes on tummy time. We got another one joining the party. Just a second. Hi. So what happens right here is that we just have to, it's like when you first go to the gym and you are learning how to use your muscles in the gym, right? And you might get super sore and you might be like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to do. That's how baby's feeling. They're developing this curve and they're like, I have to use these muscles. I've never even known they were there because I just was born. So really promoting that tummy time, and you could go up to half an hour a day or even more. So just get them exploring their environment. Even being on their belly instead of putting like a little car seat or something actually will help them interact with the environment around them too. And that's where we'll see that brain start seeing things closer, starting to realize what's around them. All right, so these are some of the common orthotic devices that we see, and I get a lot of questions about in the clinic. So we could almost make like little YouTube videos for each of these, but we're just gonna cover these very basically. So coming right through here, we have a compensated spine. So if I put baby in a little boppy, they're super cute, right? They don't move, they're nice right there. But what that does is, we'll talk a little bit about that curve even more when we get older kids, but we start losing that curve, so we're forcing baby's head to be pushed like this and their upper back to be pushed like this. So a lot of times we talk about the land of slumpies. We don't want our kids going in the land of slumpies, right? So that's exactly what we're kind of putting our baby in. So a lot of times I always promote less orthotic devices are better for our children. Right here, this is like a little seat. It kind of looks like a little squatty potty type thing. Super cute. Baby can't get away from you, right? They can't go crawling away or rolling or anything like that. But one thing is it's holding their pelvis so tight in this area, that's going to force their pelvis just to be stuck, just like this. So a lot of times, free range mobility, one, you're getting your interaction with your environment, but you're also promoting the stabilization of those joints, because without moving their joints on their own, they're not going to get those beautiful acetabular, nice sockets that they need. Right here, this is probably one of my least favorite things. I'm not sure if I was a baby who was on it or not. I'd have to ask my mom. But this is those little carriage things that the babies bop around in, and they put their feet like this. There's actually research saying the chance of fractures in the back and then hip dysplasia increases when you put your baby in this. But think about it. So babies in that little carrier, we're putting pressure up into their pelvis, and then before they're even ready to walk, they're strolling around like this. So we're not forming the hip sockets. We're not having that spine where it should be, because now we're in a straight posture like this, and we're holding them in an erect position where they might not be ready to weight load on their spine. So a lot of times, let them get up on their own and let them start developing how they're supposed to when they're ready for it. Shoes and kids. So Who here loves baby shoes? You don't love baby, nobody loves baby shoes. Okay, so since I was like 10 years old, I'd literally be like, oh my gosh, look at these little miniature little baby feet. They're so cute. They have like the cutest designs on them. Now they have light up shoes and Barbie and Paw Patrol and all the fun stuff. And that's great, right? But what we're doing to our kids is we're actually casting up their feet. So I want you to imagine if we were to put little casts on our feet, how would your feet develop? If we went and just plastered it like this, and then we said, go learn to walk. Go learn to move. Go see if your foot can function how it's supposed to, right? So more and more research is coming out that the more that we leave kids more in natural, either barefoot or shoes that promote that flexibility, the better feet we're going to have in the future. So over in indigenous countries where they barefoot run and they don't wear shoes their whole life, 3% of the population has foot issues. And they're not dilapidating either. Here in the U.S., between like I can't even say the word podiatric, all the people who do feet here, basically, 66 to 75% of people have foot issues. And some of them they can't even work or can't even do anything for. So this is kind of like the research aspect. What'd you do? Just kidding. No. Maybe. So either way though, so what we need to do is start getting kids in more flexible shoes. So flexible shoes will be absolutely huge. You can ask me definitely for any links or anything that you would like on that. Jen, we're breaking down. We're talking about car seats next. But the other thing is too, so like the more research, so like Dr. Bouch and a lot of us do biopods. And biopods are where instead of it, because once you have feet that are kind of dysfunctioning, we haven't grown up that way, you actually get a little insert in your shoe, and instead of holding your foot in place, you actually can move your foot where it should go. So patients and kids that have back issues or even like where we haven't developed our feet right, that's what we should be using as biopods. These are the statistics. I did a lot of words, but here are my solutions for when kids start having feet issues is biopods, if you haven't grown up in natural shoes, adjustments, because chiropractors can adjust your feet, and it's actually like super awesome. It's still legging. And then shoes that allow movement. So if I could have grown up in moccasins every day instead of the cute Barbie glitter like tap ones, I totally would have done it. I guess we're going to get to car seats.
Batteries?
I don't know. Here. You can try it. I'm just going to keep talking. Yep. Okay. So I guess we're going to talk about car seats then. So car seats are one of my favorite things. So I put all the laws of of Wisconsin up. There are like so many laws on car seats I can't even take what you do with a car seat sometimes. So one of the big things with those is obviously we want to keep our kids safe, but we also don't want them to live in their car seats. So if we do more and more research on skin-to-skin contact and like even the way that the car seats position a lot of our kids, what can you picture? What did the boppy do? The boppy put the head forward. It had him scrunched up like this. So it kind of wasn't promoting that posture that we want. So between seeing moms pick up car seats and having to almost break their arm on the car seat, it's just harsh. But also having it where we're putting our babies not in the optimal position, that's where we want to start making those changes. As much as we can keep them out, like even when you come in, if you don't want to carry it into the chiropractic office, like our staff love babies, so like we will gladly hold your baby any day. But that's a huge thing right there too. The other thing is too for moms who are carrying those babies, the safer that we can carry it, the better that we're not loading that shoulder. So I say the rules of opposites. So like if we're walking along and I carry it every single day on this side, the car seat, eventually I'm going to start rounding that shoulder and I'm going to start getting where it's like really legging on that shoulder, right? And I'm sure a lot of moms know exactly what I'm talking about. But then, so if we switch it up or even we carry it nice and safe down here, like where we're pulling that shoulder back, that's going to help us out big time. If I had a car seat here, it'd be easier to show you, but it will help. Okay, well, I had some really good images. This is of a popcorn kernel. So this is of development of a child. And here's all these different kernels, right? So as a child develops, oh my gosh, this thing's going haywire. As a child develops, though, they're like little popcorn seeds. So when they're crawling, when they're walking, when they're learning how to do everything that they're doing, they're all individual. So don't look at someone else's kid and put so much pressure, but know that even if they're crawling for a little bit longer, or they're doing those cross crawling patterns, and they're developing the brain at the pace that they need. So a lot of times, like when I have a kid in the clinic who's struggling with walking, or is even struggling with crawling, one, they get adjusted, but two, we do a lot of exercises that promote that cross body exercising right here. A lot of kids who do toe walking too, sometimes it's showing that they actually skipped the crawling phase and went straight to that walking phase. So we want to go through every developmental stage too. This is my skin-to-skin contact. The benefits, this is just like half of the benefits I even found. The more that you can have kids in your arm physically hugging them, touching them, the more that we see their bodies adapt to the environment around them. I was only supposed to talk for like 12 minutes, and since my PowerPoint's going haywire, I'll probably be up here for like 40. No. The next subject was, when is text neck? When is that an issue? Does anybody know that? Yeah, when does it become an issue in life? As soon as we hand them the iPad, as soon as we hand them a phone, as soon as we get them in this position, is when, one, we enter the land of what I call the slumpies, and also, two, we start jeopardizing our child's posture. So one of the biggest things, and what you see right here is, you can go one more. When your neck starts going forward, initially we should only have where, here's my hand, and I pretend I have a bowling ball right here. Initially our head weighs like 10 pounds, but as we start going more forward, more forward, more forward, our head starts weighing more, right? So imagine when we hit that 60 degrees, 60 pounds on your neck right there, right? So we've taken where our pivot, where our head is supposed to be, and where you've developed that curve, and why that curve is so important, because it holds that head in place and doesn't add tension in your spine. And now we just whoop, like this. So that's one of those big things that the more we see kids doing that, we have to come up with solutions. So next slide. My favorite is hold your technology different. So right here, how this lady is going just like this, if we actually bring our phone up, whether we're propping up our hands on a pillow and going like this, or we're having our kids sit up straighter and hold their hands up without that, that's going to help them out so much. So it's almost like parents have to be the posture police, and I say that like, Dr. Lexy's in the office, and she's like, guys, you can take a picture, absolutely. But
it's hard to do.
Yeah. It is, and it's tiring because our postural muscles just went up like this. So a lot of times I'm like, be the posture police, because your children will thank you for it one day. If you can sincerely get them to hold that technology up, and even they're already at school where they have iPads, they have so much, they're carrying backpacks that are gigantic these days, we want them to hold it up. Work on posture and be aware, so that's that. Do micro breaks. So if you're in school or you're doing different stuff, every 15 minutes is a micro break. So we're taking our spine. I like to do, like, we're superheroes, like we're, some sort of fun thing, but like, hey, superheroes, put your hands up, your chest out, and look up to the sky, up like that, every 15 minutes, because if you're like this, you have to do the opposite. We have to get our kids to actually open up and do that. And movement, which Dr. Matt will be talking about, is amazing for kids. It is absolutely, they need it. And it's becoming more and more evident the more that we're trying to keep them in place for school, or when it was all online and everything. They need movement. Another thing is chubby chin exercises. This one I like to do in the privacy of my own home, but this is a really good one. So you take your hand on your chin, and what you're going to do is just jut your chin straight back like that. And you could feel actually your muscles stretch over there. Hopefully no one's screenshotting this or anything. But you actually can feel all your muscles stretch back here, and that's promoting that neck to let go. Let those muscles stretch and get it back. So the chubby chin exercises. Next is, and kids are not going to like this, Dr. Lexy apologizes so much, limit screen time. If we start kind of putting limits on how much screen time we have, one, it'll help our eyes. Two, it will also help our posture. And most likely kids will find things like going outside to play instead. This was the other thing. I'm hearing more and more because of COVID and all the stuff at school, kids are carrying around all their textbooks, anything in their backpacks, and I'm having more and more injuries come into the office because of it. So one, feel free to bring your backpack in by us, because proper backpack wear is so essential. Dr. Bouch designs backpacks and does all the cool stuff with that. But sincerely, if you can wear your backpack with both hands on the shoulder here, and then if it has a strap, use that, and then loading the heaviest towards the back and lightest towards the front, that's going to help out your kiddos so much. Their little spines are only supposed to be able to, if I'm a 100-pound kid, we should only carry 10 to 15%, so 10 to 15 pounds, right? So that should be the max in the backpack. So when we add textbooks and all this, one, it jeopardizes our posture, but also, two, we start seeing change. It could cause changes in the posture, and then we have pain. And kids at a young age should not have pain from their backpacks, right? We should be, woo, running around and enjoying it. So bring your backpack anytime, bring your kid in anytime, and we will definitely look at that. Next slide. This is not saying the backpack caused this, but because there can be congenital things that cause scoliosis. But when we start seeing postural alterations, this is where we need to be checking our kids. This one is very evident, but as we get to here, that's a start of changes happening to your child's spine where we're showing dysfunction. Our brain, our body is not communicating 100%, and that's what we want because they're not adapting as they should. So when you look at your child, and Dr. Matt will take you up here. Come on. We're going to look really quick. So you can actually check your child's own posture here. A lot of times it's simple as have them stand just nice and still. Put your hands at the nape of their, we're going to turn you towards here. Whoop. We're going to put your hands at the meaty part of their traps. If you see either one is smaller or bigger, or you're having a little bit of a lean like that, that's where we know our child's posture is struggling. You can look at their scapulas, and then we can come down to their hips. And if you see any dysfunction there, come and we can check them out. Or, make sure you're keeping an eye on it as well. Thank you. All right, so this goes back to that text neck. Can any of you feel a horn on the back of your head? What? Oh, we do have someone in here. Okay, well, most of us cannot feel the horn, but as our posture starts going more and more forward, our body doesn't want that. When that 60 pounds is this far forward, our head wants to pull it back nice and even. So if we can not feel the horn, hopefully, usually, if you do feel the horn, a lot of times that means your neck is pulling you too hard. But a lot of kids at age 10, if I take an x-ray of them, some of them are having such poor posture that we actually start seeing this pulling right here of the muscle, causing that dysfunction in their spine as well. So it's super, super important that we start taking care of our posture and our spines now before we start developing and become teenagers who it's a lot harder to break the habits. Dr. Aaron? This is kind of my chicken or the egg slide. Sometimes when we talked about the shoes, every time a patient comes in, they're like, well, did my feet do this, or did my hips do this, or what happened? It's hard to prove what started what, but if we start with dysfunction here, even when we talked about the shoes with the kids, and we move up the spine, all of this is connected so much, or even that text neck, that it can affect your whole body. So addressing the whole body as a whole is huge. This one, you guys tried this last time. Try the wall challenge. This is where you put your back of your head, your shoulders, your buttocks to the wall. If your child cannot do this or you can't do this, that means that we're having anterior head carriage and you might be growing a horn.
Your feet should be 6 inches from the wall.
Yep. So a little bit out and then everything touching back. Dr. Aaron's breaking the thing. I think I'm almost done. Nutrition. So Dr. Aaron's going to take it away. Mind your posture. Get on your kids under chiropractic care because we keep an eye on that stuff and help their nervous system. And Dr. Aaron's going to start out with the nutrition. Thanks for watching.